Your source for television news, weather, sports, current events, and musical entertainment from the University of the Ozarks in Clarksville, Arkansas. This is Ozarks Today. On today's show, national champions in clay target shooting reign at Ozarks. A historic day for Eagles wrestling. A new tradition at a very old local farm. Plus weather with Dax Clark. Eagles sports with Rhett Williamson. And this week's In Focus interview segment hosted by Lily Marlowe. The vocal and guitar stylings of Caleb Keith. And now, here's your host, Kiernan Klossmeyer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ozarks Today. We begin with a campaign initiative aimed at making us all more aware of the words we use and how they can affect others. As Bradley Thompson reports, University of the Ozarks students and faculty rallied together to make a change.
On March 7th, faculty and students from the University of the Ozarks held their annual pledge drive to help raise awareness for the Spread the Word to End the Word campaign.
The word is the derogatory use of the word retard or retarded, sort of as a slur against an individual with an intellectual disability or a developmental disability. But then when you think about it, this really extends much more broadly into not using slurs and not critiquing anyone because of something that we can't control.
The campaign is endorsed by both the Special Olympics and the Best Buddies organization. Though supporters can help with the cause year-round, the first Wednesday in March is marked as the annual day to promote awareness. Here at the University of the Ozarks, students and teachers alike crowded in front of the cafeteria to show their support and to sign their names on the pledge banner.
Yeah, so it's starting to we're running out of room on the banner now, which is really cool. And I think it's great because it's something that there's no excuse not to do. It's not like you have to make any big commitment. It doesn't take long. It's just sign your name, you get a sticker, and you're good.
Recognizing that a word is a slur can change my attitude towards someone, and maybe I won't look at someone as a category or as a diagnosis. Maybe I will see that person as like me.
Even with that, you've helped, hopefully, commit to making the world a more, I guess, inclusive, more respectful place.
Well, I think that our work here is done. We're out of stickers, so we're out of buttons.
We are not done. People sign.
In what is becoming a golden age of First Amendment action and civic engagement by young people, students at Ozarks are raising awareness and money for the sometimes marginalized among us.
Hi, how are you?
This is what I've got. Sorry. There you go. That's all I got. It's $2.
Would you like something for your dinner?
It all starts with a small donation, and for Ozarks Alliance, a small donation goes a long way. To spread the word about International Transgender Day of Visibility, they are selling baked goods. This day is to raise awareness of the discrimination of the transgender community, but also to celebrate all that they have accomplished.
Okay, so today Ozarks Alliance, which is the LGBTQA community here on campus, was selling baked goods in order to raise money and awareness for the transgender community. But many people overlook the T in LGBTQA. And so we want to focus on bringing that awareness for the transgender community and help raising awareness against the discrimination that they're facing.
Ozarks Alliance is passionate about what they do, especially when it comes to spreading the word about the LGBTQA community. And through bake sales and various other fundraisers, they hope to keep up the fight against discrimination and upholding LGBTQA rights.
Sometimes you just need a break from work, from classwork, and responsibilities. A big de-stressor for University of the Ozarks students comes as Hannah Brado reports in the form of a night out on campus.
When classes have ended and classwork is becoming hectic, the Campus Activities Board provides a few events at the University of the Ozarks for students to come together as a community.
So about how many students would you say participate in these activities?
We averaged 70, but for tonight for Family Feud, we had closer to 90. And then our bigger events, we averaged closer to 150 to 200, with our record being the Haunted House, which we hosted in October, which we ended up having 685 people.
Many of these events are run by students who volunteer their time to help coordinate and plan each event. Adam King tells us more.
We can make do on roughly 5 to 10 people. I would always love more. It's always great to have the student body come in and just everyone get to work, because then the faster we work, the faster we can have fun.
The Campus Activities Board brings the community together and has fun doing it. The best way to bring students together is to go directly to them for ideas on new activities.
They come from our students. Everyone can submit an idea, contribute to an idea, and try to think about enhancing it and try to make it encompass the community and everyone, just so we can work on, making Ozarks great.
In other news from the top of College Hill, before you throw out that trash, you might want to check out this story from Ozarks Today reporter Elaine Holmes as she takes us to the fashion runway.
No one wants to ask about these lovely designs, how they did them or anything?
The Ozarks Annual Recycle Fashion Show is a chance for students to win big bucks for turning our trash into their treasure.
The Recycle Fashion Show is really interesting because you get to recycle the materials that normally would just be thrown away. And so instead of wasting things, you get to be creative and turn it into something new and something that you're excited to show everyone.
And it's not just art majors who are involved, it's everyone. We have had people from all over the spectrum of majors who have joined this: science, education, art, math. Everyone is welcome, and the whole school campus is welcome.
I created this strapless dress. Well, it was more like bustier and mini skirt. I was the model because it was just easier to work with myself. The idea behind it was to make a statement about the currency in Venezuela and the inflation and all those social issues that they are going through right now.
Venezuela have turned into a luxury thanks to the inflation that oppresses the country.
The fashion show was a really fun experience that I got to share with one of my dearest friends, which she was my model. First it was I need to look for a model that it's skinny, so that way I don't have to look for a lot of materials. I did it in 2 days because I was really busy with doing art. So I dedicated just 2 full days to do the whole thing. So my friend was in there and I was try this and then try to fix it. Sometimes I would sew on top of her. It was really fun to see her run in there, and I got 2nd place that time. So it was really exciting. She looked fabulous. You're proud of what you made, so it's exciting. And then you can get to win money, so it's fun.
All are welcome to attend April 17th at the Rogers Conference Center as Rappins take their chance on the runway.
The Morgan family started farming the hilly landscapes north of Clarksville over 100 years ago, and for most of the century. They've been known for their peaches. Thousands of people make their trip from far and near each year to sample that delicious nectar and to pick bushel baskets of their own peaches and nectarines. But as Lily Marlowe shows us next in this story, before the fruit ever hits the tree, a flower shows off in a big way.
This year, Peach Picking Paradise is bursting into spring with its first annual Bloom Blast. The event, held on March 17th, was to honor the coming of spring and the arrival of some of the favorite local produce, peaches, or what starts them, the peach blossoms.
So this year we decided to share the blooms and let people come photograph, so we made an event of it.
It's beautiful. It is just beautiful. It's just, I'm so glad they opened it up for the public because it's really breathtaking. Beautiful orchard.
With small children, which they have right now, my grandchildren, they thought it'd be a great event for pictures with the kids, and then we added on the kids' activities so they could also enjoy that as a family event. And we're just glad it didn't rain.
The orchard was open to having pictures taken of it, and I even got a special tour with James Morgan, the owner's son.
As you can see here, we've got most of the blooms are fully out. We've got a few that are still coming on. Right now, you've just got various stages. Okay, so this variety here is the Loring. It's a different variety, different bloom time, slightly different bloom. It's about the same. See some of the leaves beginning to sprout, like right there. In a few weeks, those will just continue to grow, and by the time a few months, June, I mean, you'll be completely dominated by leaves. Or these, it'll be 3 to 3.5 months until you get a fully grown peach.
Well, agriculture is fun, and remember your farmers are out there working all year round so that we have produce and vegetables and fruit.
While this was just the first, Peach Picking Paradise is hoping to continue doing this annually to share the beautiful blossoms they've had for years. And a little fun, too.
You can follow Peach Pickin' Paradise on Facebook to see when the orchard will open up to the public this summer coming up. Next, weather forecaster Dax Clark takes us on a wild ride that is springtime in Arkansas.
All the rest of them can go.
We do an annual tournament, usually in September of every year. Back in 2015, we lost Deputy Smith, and we was trying to figure out a way that we could continue Sonny's legacy, without him being with us. And a fishing tournament seemed like a fun way for the community to get involved and support a great cause. So basically anything that they can catch, whether it be catfish, gar, whatever, we're going to have a separate pot for that, just to kind of make it a little more fun. So yeah, and there's several different opportunities out here for people to win some money and some good prizes. At the end of the year, we will turn back scholarships for area youth that's wanting to get into either law enforcement or any type of public service. We're just going to come out here, we're going to have fun, and like I said, support a great cause, and every year it's just amazing to see everybody come together to help us out. Great community, great sponsors, great fishermen. We couldn't ask for anything more.
KUOZ 6 HD weather forecaster Dax Clark.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And it's been a chilly day, especially by April standards out there. We've been dealing with that below average temperature in the weather for several days now, and that's going to continue with even colder air coming in this week. Currently in the area, as of 7 o'clock, it is 59 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Those clouds continuing to increase throughout the day today because we have another storm system that is working its way in for tomorrow, and we have a whole smorgasbord of weather coming up. We have snow potentially, even in Arkansas, potentially record-breaking snow in parts of the Mid-South, and then as well severe weather starting tomorrow. So for today, the high was 61. That is well below the average of 71, but nothing close to the record of 94, and the low of 34, nothing close to the record that was 27. Back in the 1900s. So looking at the main weather headlines, storms are possible tomorrow with severe weather as well. Winter weather is also a possibility Saturday morning. It could start as early as Friday night as well, and then near record-breaking cold with another freeze likely both Friday night and then again on Saturday night. But before we can get to that, let's take a look at the temperatures. Nothing freezing out there right now, 50s and 60s across most of the state. And then you can really see, though, that cold air beginning to spill in around International Falls and Chicago. temperatures only in the 20s, and then that cold air is going to continue to slide south over the next 24 to 48 hours, and that's really going to give us a wild spin in the weather. Now, for tomorrow, Friday, during the day, severe weather, there is a risk. Right now in Clarksville, it looks like at a level 1 out of 5 risk, with a greater risk, a medium risk, with the potential for large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes is especially the case for the southern half of the state tomorrow, especially south of Little Rock in that orange shaded area. That's the area where we have that medium risk of severe weather, and we will continue to track that in terms of impacts for Clarksville if that shifts north or south, depending on the position of that warm front during the day tomorrow. Now, locally, keeping it local in Johnson County, a very low risk of tornadoes tomorrow. I really don't think it's going to be much of an issue. Less than a 2% chance according to the Storm Prediction Center. The damaging wind and large hail risk only in the low category, so not looking like a big event for Clarksville at least, but for the southern half of the state into Texas and Louisiana, it could be a different story with the potential severe weather outbreak ahead of this system. Now, the rain is going to be the big story for us here in Clarksville tomorrow, with 1 to 2 inches of rainfall possible. A few places could see closer to 3 inches of rain, depending on if we get any of those storms that like to train along the front. And we will be north of the front, so that will be the greater area at risk for heavy rainfall for tomorrow. And we expect rain starting right when you're heading out to work and school in the morning all the way through tomorrow evening. And then after that, tomorrow we see a quick change. Saturday morning, I'll step out of the way so you can see this. Teens, wind chills are going to fall into the teens with temperatures, actual air temperatures in the 20s, maybe even some low 20s, especially north of Clarksville, with 20s across the southern half of the state in terms of wind chill. There could even be a few places that see single-digit wind chills in April, which has not happened in Arkansas in a very long time. The most likely area for that to be would be north of Interstate 40, up around the Fayetteville to Mountain View area. And for that reason, we do have a freeze watch that is in effect, and a freeze warning actually just been issued for northwest Arkansas. That will go into effect Friday night, and then likely going to see another one issued for Saturday night. And then this will probably be expanded towards the south, I would imagine, because the 30s are going to rule across most of the northern half of the state. So at least a frost advisory is likely. And this does include that freeze watch for Johnson County and Clarksville, again, Friday night. Now, I know what everyone's asking me, is it going to snow? Well, yes, but probably not here, because we're probably going to see it just to our north in the Missouri area, Kansas City, St. Louis. They could be talking about 2 to 4 inches of snow. We've actually got winter storm watches in effect for a large portion of the Midwest, almost extending down to the Arkansas state line. And you can see in that shaded pink area north of Clarksville, north of I-40, Fayetteville, Jonesboro, Paragould, that area, there could be a mix of sleet, snow, freezing rain, and rain tomorrow night into Saturday morning. Right now, it doesn't look to be much more than a dusting at best, or a light slushy glaze for us for the day tomorrow, tomorrow night and Saturday morning. If there are travel problems, this is a closer look. It's going to be north of I-40 in this pink shaded area from Rogers, Fayetteville, Mountain Home into Jonesboro, where that wintry mix will be most likely. It would not surprise me if we do see a little bit of sleet, or maybe in a few snowflakes further south, maybe as far south as Little Rock, but it will not accumulate, and we are not expecting any travel problems. At best, a few slick bridges and overpasses in the pink shaded area Saturday morning, but with that high sun angle, and especially given the fact that it's April, it's not going to last long at all. So just the fact that we are seeing snow in April, and that will be record breaking, because if we see a trace of snow in some areas in northern Arkansas, that will break the record. Most areas in Arkansas do not see snow after March 15th. So that's going to be something to watch. For tomorrow, though, no snow yet. 49 degrees is what we're going to kick off the day. A 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms, and that chance will increase throughout the day, going up into the 80% range. Pack the umbrella for sure, because we're going to be dealing with bouts of rain, heavy rain even on and off, and some rumbles of thunder, an isolated severe risk as well, even in Clarksville, so we'll keep an eye on that. And as you can see on the 7-day, we warm up finally near seasonal averages. Our average high temperature is around 71 degrees, and our low is averaging around 46 degrees. So you can see we're going to be well below average, feeling more typical of late February and early March as we go into Saturday. And our lows, as stated before, could be potentially damaging to those plants, especially, I know we had the story on the peach orchard here temperatures below 32 degrees can really damage those plants, and so hopefully precautions are able to be taken and that it doesn't get too cold to where it doesn't matter if things were covered up. But hopefully we were able to stay out of the 20s, and then by next week, as stated, back into the 80s with another risk of severe weather next Thursday. So about this time next week, more severe weather will be possible with more warm air. So stay tuned, because after the break, we've got more in sports.
In 2015, we lost Deputy Smith, and we was trying to figure out a way that we could continue Sonny's legacy, without him being with us. We were trying to figure out a great way to do that, and a fishing tournament seemed like a fun way for the community to get involved and support a great cause. Anything that they can catch, whether it be catfish, gar, whatever, we're going to have a separate pot for that, just to kind of make it a little more fun. And so yeah, there's several different opportunities out here for people to win some money and some good prizes. We're just going to come out here, we're going to have fun, and like I said, support a great cause, and every year it's just amazing to see everybody come together to help us out. Great community, great sponsors, great fishermen. We couldn't ask for anything more.
It depends. Chemical imbalance, early childhood experiences, all of those things can contribute to why something doesn't go right. So whether it's depression, it's anxiety, it's something that's there that's keeping them from fully engaging with their environment and people in the environment to the degree that they want to. Course of action is just to get them talking. They'll lead you in the direction that they need. You don't want to blow it up into a larger issue that you're just trying to alleviate your own anxiety over, but at the same time you can't downplay it and try to just make it go away. We have several resources. There's counseling associates, there is the River Valley Counseling and Therapy Services, and then just in general someone could go to the ER.
Now, Eagle Sports with Rhett Williamson.
It's been an exciting couple of weeks for U of O athletics. The future of the women's basketball program looks bright, as it was recently announced that former Ozarks assistant coach Courtney Williams will take over next season as head coach. University of the Ozarks reporter Elaine Holmes met with Williams to get her perspective on the new job.
Eagles. What comes before game day? Is it the crowd? The players, the excitement of watching your team win a game? It's the coaches, and here at the U of O, a new women's basketball coach has just been appointed. Courtney Williams. Most people know her to work in Maybe's administration, but to others in the South, she has been in the sport of basketball for years.
I've played basketball, forever, probably since third grade, second grade. My dad actually coached me. My dad played basketball growing up, and he also played basketball at the University of Arkansas. So I guess you could say I'm kind of a basketball family. As a coach, I think my best quality is going to be my competitiveness, and also making sure that my players are always prepared. So not only prepared every day in the game, or every time they get it ready to compete, but then also just being prepared for life. So having that genuine care for my players, I think, is probably what is going to be my best quality.
Williams was an All-State player at Fayetteville High School and continued as an All-America player at Mid-America Christian University.
Played 4 years in college, and then after college I worked an office job, and after that it was kind of like, I miss basketball, something's missing, I need more, and so with that, what it was is I needed to get back into the game somehow, so I applied here, was the assistant for 3 years here, then worked over in admissions and enrollment. I think communication is going to be one of those things, just never giving up on your players and always having that passion, that fire that that determination, that hard work, that you are going to do what it takes to win, and that you are going to prepare your players to succeed and do well. It's an unbelievable opportunity for me to be the head coach here at University of the Ozarks.
Last month, Ozarks Wrestling dipped its toes into uncharted waters when senior Devon Jackson and freshman Nathaniel Rankin qualified for the national tournament, but they did not back down from the challenge. Sent not one, but 2 men to nationals for the first time in program history.
D brought some tools, to the table last year that I don't take credit for, a lot of the tools he has. He's worked to change some positions quickly, whereas before he might hang out with some. And I think, mentally, he's come a long way. And I think, like I said, I talked about in the press conference was, after he lost that semifinals, you kind of don't know where guys are going to land, because last year when he lost his match, he wasn't able to put it together. He was dealing with some injuries last year, but this year, as soon as he came off, he needed 2 minutes. He said, "Hey, Coach, I'm good." Nathan has, lived up to everything I recruited him for, and I think my wife always reminds me that when I was recruiting him, I kept telling her, hey, wait until you see he goes hard. He just goes 100 miles an hour and wants to put points on the board. And, I think as a coach, when I'm excited in the corner a little bit, sometimes I'm a little bit of a fan.
Both Devon Jackson and Nathaniel Rankin fell in 2 matches to be eliminated from the tournament. Rankin secured a forfeit victory, but just having athletes make the tournament speaks volumes for the program in just its 4th year of existence.
I'm proud of the work they did to get here. I'm proud of the effort out on the mat. We'll keep getting better, and I'm just glad and thankful, grateful for the opportunity. So we're gonna keep getting better.
Last weekend, the men and women's track teams traveled to Magnolia, Arkansas to compete in the Southern Arkansas University Invitational. On the women's side, Hannah Smith won the 3,000-meter steeplechase. Michael Harris placed 5th in the 800-meter and 2nd in the 3,000-meter steeple for the men. In tennis, the men's and women team played Division I Arkansas Pine Bluff. Pine Bluff defeated the women 5-2 and topped the men 6-1. The baseball team took on Laterno in Longview, Texas over the weekend. The Eagles were swept by the Yellow Jackets, but all 3 games came down to the wire as the boys lost 5-4, 4-3, and 9-8. Softball games against Hendricks were canceled this week, but in their most recent action, they hosted Texas Dallas and lost the first 2 games 3-1 and 9-4. The Eagles did, however, avoid the sweep by picking up a 7-6 victory to end the weekend. The shooting team headed into this past week's national competition with championship aspirations. While the payoff they were looking for would come this week, the work put in happened long before. Shooting team member and University of Ozarks reporter Gavin Wheeler has more.
I shoot at Craig off K parkour.
I shoot an SKB 90 TSS Sporting.
I shoot a Craig off K parkours.
The U of O shooting team had a successful year last year with the school's first national championship. The team is using that to drive them to do better this year.
With Grace winning the national championship last year, we're going to really try and pull another national championship out in Bunker.
I'm hoping that my practice has improved and I'll be able to take the title again.
The rest of the shooters on the team have also worked hard to possibly win more events for the team this year.
Practicing my mounts and my form, and I've really been critiquing my practice more than anything.
Practice when I go home every other weekend and put all that I can into practice here at school.
This year at Nationals, all that practice paid off for one of the most successful years for the shooting team. Jeff Proctor became a national champion in ISO International Bunker Trap. Grace Brown claimed her second national title, this time winning International Wobble Trap. The team placed third in American Trap, and the team also placed second in International Wobble Trap. Charles Priddy won third place in American Trap A class. Tristan Leonard won second place in International Wobble Trap B class. Gavin Wheeler won third place in American Trap B class. The team placed within the top 10 in every event and is looking to use the success to propel them further next season.
It's time for a break. Stick around for In Focus with Lily Marlowe on KUOZ 6 HD.
Today's event, back in 2015, we lost Deputy Smith, and we was trying to figure out a way that we could continue Sonny's legacy, without him being with us. We were trying to figure out a great way to do that, and a fishing tournament seemed like a fun way for the community to get involved and support a great cause that we're trying to do here. We've got several boats in the water. We're expecting several more. The sponsors have been great. They've blessed us with a lot of good prizes this year. Whenever they come in here to the boat ramp and sign up, it's $60 a boat. There's an optional $10 per boat, big bass pipe. And then we're also doing a trash fish, which is kind of an uncommon thing at the tournament. So basically anything that they can catch, whether it be catfish, gar, whatever, we're going to have a separate pot for that, just to kind of make it a little more fun. And so yeah, there's several different opportunities out here for people to win some money and some good prizes.
Should I even be driving?
Hey man, you should probably not do this. Over 10,000 people died in 2015 from drunk driving.
So are you like sober me? And you are like me, only drunker. Driving drunk is actually a lot easier than driving sober because you're like relaxed when you're out there on the road.
No, don't listen to him.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's not like a third of traffic deaths are caused by drunk drivers.
Yes, they are.
Want to fight?
Okay, don't touch me.
Oh! You know what? I'm gonna let y'all figure this out. I'm gonna go back inside.
Topic shapers into focus. Welcome to this week's edition of In Focus on Ozarks Today with your host, Lily Marlowe.
The saying, "take the bull by the horns," comes from the Greek myth of Theseus saving Crete from a raging bull by seizing its horns. Tonight's guest is someone who's taking the future of academics by the horns at the University of Ozarks. She likes to study ancient cultures and enjoys her new, old Victorian house in Clarksville. But how can you go from working in Greece to working at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst to working at the University of Ozarks in small Clarksville, Arkansas? With us tonight we have the myth, the legend, the Dr. Allison Gill. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, and thank you so much for that incredible introduction. Actually, I really love that story about taking the bull by the horns because In Greek mythology, Theseus is running towards the Minotaur, this half man, half bull. He grabs it by the horns, but you don't just grab it by the horns, you grab it and then you have to flip over the back and end up on the other side. So I guess that the short story is if you don't grab it by the horns, you end up getting gored, right? So the stakes are really, really high. So hopefully, I'm absolutely delighted to be here. And thank you for inviting me to be on the show. How did I get here? Is that where we started?
Yeah. How did you get here? You know, what's your backstory?
So when I was a freshman in college, I was at Kenyon College, and I was in a history class, and I decided to do a study abroad. And when I did the study abroad, it was to Greece. And it ended up that I went to the very site in Greece where I would go back as a study abroad student later, and then I worked there for 20 years at an excavation. So I know, so it was kind of a funny thing. And then I was a psychology major. I went on to take a master's in art history and then my doctorate's in history. So I guess the moral of that is you just never know where your path's going to take you.
And to my understanding, you ended up back in Greece afterwards, you know, for your 20 years of working there. What all did you do?
So I worked at an excavation in Greece. And then when I was, have to think about this, so when my oldest daughter was a year old, I took her over to the excavation. It was before I started graduate school, because I thought it would be really not that difficult. I mean, how difficult can babies be, right? And so I just had her in this little backpack on my front, and we would go out to the excavation. We stayed there for about a year in the Greek village, and then I came back, went to graduate school, came back for a Fulbright grant. So that was a grant that allowed me to live there when I was in graduate school. By then I had my youngest daughter, who's a student here, and I took her back, and she was only 3 months old. Oh. So I took both kids back. We lived in Greece again, and it was a really incredible experience because I didn't speak Greek. I mean, that was the joke of it. I mean, I actually had to kind of learn Greek, and so the way that I learned Greek was to live in areas of town that were really, really Greek, and they spoke no English at all. Oh. So I would have to work on my vocabulary every day, and we had a doorman. And one day I wanted to tell him that the light bulb was off in my house, but I didn't know the word for light bulb. So I had to go to him and I had to say, I knew a lot of around words, just not strict vocabulary. So I had to say, if you were sitting out on your porch at night, and if you were reading a book, and if suddenly the light were to go off from that thing up there, what would that thing be called? And he'd be like, oh, it's light bulb. And then he'd help me fix it. So I eventually learned the language.
And then you ended up at the University of Massachusetts.
I went to UMass Amherst after I'd been teaching at Arkansas State University in the northeastern part of the state for about 20 years. So I moved up to UMass in the middle of a snowstorm, and we, hearing the weather just now, we thought they were joking when they were like, and there'll be 36 inches of snow. We're like, no way. Yeah, it was like that winter where. So I went up there, and I'm Associate Provost for Instructional Innovation there. And then 3 years later, there was this opportunity to come here, and it's just coming home for me.
Okay, and what are some of your plans for the school right now? What are you working on? What are your projects?
I am incredibly blessed to be here with a really great group of people, all of you. I work with Dr. Caleb Keith. He's the Assistant Provost for Institutional Effectiveness and Strategy, and we're rolling out a brand new program called Compass in the fall that you might have heard about. Which is every student here will actually have an iPad, and it's very interesting. It will be incorporated fully into the course, an iPad, a keyboard, and a pencil. So we think this will really change up the way that teaching and learning happens here at the university.
Oh, that's really neat. And I believe that you live in a Victorian house in Clarksville.
I've lived there for about 3 days so far. So one of the most incredible things about that house is just, it is a very, very old house. It's right next to, for people in town, Dr. Pennington's house. And so we really wanted to preserve the history of this university home. So when you walk in, you can see the original walls in places. We've done very little to modernize it. We've got some modern touches here and there.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm sorry we didn't get to everything that we were planning on talking about, but it will be fine. Thank you so much for talking with us so far.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we wish you luck on everything that you do here.
I hope to see you around.
Hope you Hope to see you too.
Thanks.
We hope you'll join us again next week for another edition of Ozarks Today and In Focus. Stick around for the first Walker Hall music session with our very first musical guest, Caleb Keith. You're watching KUOZ 6 HD.
Three tests to study for, 2 research papers
You
to
need to
do,
get
and a
enough
speech
sleep.
to give. Assignments
You
are
need to
due
find
this
the
week
time to eat.
before
Clean your
class.
room.
45
You don't
minutes
have
to
to.
complete this project.
Call your
Work
parents.
40 hours this week to pay
Be
the
better.
bills.
Get this
Keep up your
project done.
GPA to keep that scholarship.
Keep everything
You're
done.
going to have to pull an all-nighter to get this all done.
In 2015, we lost Deputy Smith. We was trying to figure out a way that we could continue Sonny's legacy. We were trying to figure out a great way to do that, and a fishing tournament seemed like a fun way for the community to get involved. There's several different opportunities out here for people to win some money and some good prizes. Well, the 60% goes back towards the fishermen. We keep 40% that will go into the Sonny Smith Foundation. At the end of the year, we will turn back scholarships for area youth that's wanting to get into either law enforcement or any type of public service. To support a great cause, and every year it's just amazing to see everybody come together to help us out. You know, great community, great sponsors, great fishermen.
Welcome back, everybody. By day, he is an administrator for the University of the Ozarks, but in his spare time, he's bringing down the house playing his music. Ladies and gentlemen, Caleb Keith.
Somewhere out in middle America, halfway between late and lonesome, I was blinded by bright headlights, so I pulled off on the shoulder. The radio was playing on a wailing song. The wind was howling, I was singing along. Took things for granted when I was young, but appreciate them now that I'm older. There's something about those North Georgia pines that burn in my memory, haunting my mind. Guess I'll stop by the next payphone and call up my mama, tell her I'm coming home. Well, in a no-name tavern in a no-name town, somewhere in the heart of Texas, a roadside stop serving cold China bark, yeah, well I know what the best is. I like to hang around Austin town. Tomorrow I'll be Boston bound. I found myself a nice hometown, but one day I just up and left it. There's something about those North Georgia pines that burn in my memories, haunting my mind. Guess I'll stop by the next payphone and call up my mama, tell her I'm coming home. Well, I spent most of my 20s along the road and running. Well, I never crossed a bridge that didn't burn, and each new day is a new lesson learned. Well, maybe it's something or nothing at all. The memories start to stir. The state lines pass with each tank of gas. The miles become a blur. Well, Miss Ohio looked all so pretty, walking down Broad Street in the classic city. It's my own fault I didn't think to call. It's late and I'm a-dreaming of her. There's something about those North Georgia pines that burn in my memory, haunting my mind. Guess we'll stop by the next payphone and call up my mama, tell her I'm coming home. Well, I'm coming home. Somewhere out in middle America, halfway between late and lonesome. Well, I was blinded by bright headlights, so I pulled off on the shoulder.
Caleb Keith, hi.
Hi.
That was awesome. So, Middle America is the song?
It is.
Original then?
That's right. Yes, it is.
So can you take us through the inspiration, what the song means, how you came to write it, and what it means to you?
Sure. Yeah. So I wrote the song when I was living in Virginia. I was working at Virginia Tech at the time, and I had just returned to the United States. I'd lived overseas for a little over a year, working in the Middle East. And was really just kind of thinking about some road trips back home to Illinois where I grew up, and sort of the idea of traveling and kind of longing for someplace that you're not at the time. And so it really kind of inspired the song. So I think in this, it's really sort of about late nights and kind of empty highways and being in some place and thinking about someplace else. And Middle America seemed like one of those places that I was thinking of.
Awesome. So this song is from an album you have, so you can tell us about the album?
Yeah, it's an album of mine with my band called Caleb Keith and the Calaveras.
Okay.
The album's called Between Late and Lonesome, recorded about a year and a half ago or so in Athens, Georgia. So it's got a full band on it and several other original songs, yeah.
Full band. So could you take us through and tell us where we can find your music if you're going on tour anytime soon, where you're gonna be, where I can find you?
Absolutely. You can find it about any place that you would go for digital music. iTunes, Amazon, CD Baby, Bandcamp, Apple Music. It's on all those places. I've got stuff on Noise Trade too, and no tour because I'm here at Ozarks right now. But I do play once a month at Fox and Fork downtown. Okay. So the last Wednesday of the month is usually a good place to catch me for sure.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming down and playing us one of your songs.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
That's it for today. Don't forget to tune in next week for another episode of Ozarks Today.